Are you guys ready to move on to America and specifically New York's favorite new niche NBA basketball
time killer?
No, people listen. This is where me reading the comments and the reactions helps. And I quote, never stop doing these. They love the pick drafts.
Wow.
Yes.
To her, Mom, thank you for writing that.
Thank you, Mrs. Macri.
The check's in the mail.
So are you ready to do the third pick draft?
Oh boy. As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. Based off of your initial research, gentlemen, how are you feeling about this crop of players that we're going to get to choose from? John, I'll start with you.
It's really tough because there is so much by way of recency, just recent really good players. And I don't think thus far through the first two drafts, we've really had to grapple with like, well, this guy's awesome, but he hasn't hardly played any, enough years yet. There hasn't been any, like I took Morant in the last draft. Like that's probably the closest thing we've come. But again, who was like, there weren't really a whole lot. There wasn't a whole lot else on the board by that point. So I didn't feel too conflicted about it. Now you're in a situation where like, I don't want to reveal any names before we've gotten started, but like we get into like the third, fourth, fifth pick. And there's a guy who might be on one or more of our minds who's like, oh, this person hasn't hit their prime yet, or is like maybe in the midst of their prime. And like, I don't know, like we're doing this obviously to win. That's all we care about. We care about winning the votes. We care about winning your votes, you listener and viewer. And, I don't know. It's the eye of the beholder. So, that's something I'm thinking about.
So I love how you were trying to be cryptic about the fact that Luka was drafted third.
He was? Oh, I didn't come up with my research.
You're right. Jeremy and I had no idea and aren't aware how you feel about Luka and that you may really want him.
I think he has some value above replacement. I wouldn't put a number on it.
Gotcha. Okay. You've never compared him to another player drafted third in the NBA draft. You're right.
Listen, I may have compared him to Buck Williams at some point.
Jeremy, do you have any thoughts about the third pick in general?
Yeah, I do. I'll say this: if Stu Inman were in this draft, he'd probably get it right this time. Maybe not though. Maybe.
Who's that?
Who is that?
Yeah.
He was the Blazers GM.
Okay. I was going to say, for those who don't know, yeah.
Good call.
Sam Bowie, second overall, 1984. But yeah, this is a lot of great names, a lot of good names. There's certainly a drop off after a certain point. And then there's another drop off, but the first one is pretty steep. Yeah, it can.
Interesting.
Be.
Why do you hate RJ Barrett?
He did it. Okay.
Why are you thinking that I'm not implying RJ Barrett is the best player taken third overall?
Listen,
it says more about you than it does about me.
Number one overall pick. Yeah.
RJ Barrett, Adam Morrison, Field.
Well, I'm excited. Well, the Knicks obviously recently had, as we just mentioned, the number third pick in the draft, and it is a player near and dear to all of our hearts. I have some trivia that I have now finalized for this draft that I would like to throw at these fine gentlemen. For those who, I guess, didn't listen to the first two picks drafts for the first and the second pick draft, we probably should have started with that. The concept that we're going with is we're taking all of the players taken with a specific pick in the NBA draft. And Jon Jeremy and I, with the draft order that's to be determined in a few minutes, are going to take turns selecting players to fill out a 5-man team with a 2-man bench. So it's a center, 2 forwards, 2 guards, and then a 2-man bench that can't be the same position. We did the first pick, we did the second pick, and today we are attacking the third pick in the NBA draft, in which there have been 11 Hall of Famers, including, actually, I'll hold the including for a second, 10 NBA MVPs, 4 for Wilt Chamberlain, 5 for Michael Jordan, and 1 for James Harden, 7 rookies of the year, Luka, Gasol, Pau Gasol, I should say, Grant Hill, Michael Jordan, Buck Williams, Paul Arizin, and Wilt Chamberlain. And then seven Duke Blue Devils. You guys want to take a guess at those?
Oh, you said one.
Right. Grant Hill, who that's the including. Grant Hill, the only NBA player to graduate Duke, or at least go to Duke and then make it to the NBA and make the Hall of Fame. Duke has one player in the Hall of Fame and two coaches.
He actually isn't the one that I was saying that we already referred to, but so.
The other one being RJ Barrett. Yes. 2019. Barrett. Sorry. Okay. So it's five more.
Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum. Well done.
Cool. Jabari Parker.
He was the second pick.
Oh, Jahlil Okafor, you're thinking.
Yes, Jahlil.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at the list, by the way. Yes.
Good.
So we've gotten four now, right?
Men of honor here. Yeah. You've gotten. So I said Grant Hill, Jahlil Okafor, Jason Tatum,
one. Christian Laettner. There you go.
Grant Hill's teammate. So there's two more.
Recent?
2002, and I'll give you the 1952.
2002?
Yes.
So then
the player shouldn't it be the other way around, that you give John the 2002 and he gets the 1952?
I'm not gonna get the 52 one.
The 1952 one will test how mature all of us are. The man's name was Dick Grote. Dick Grote. Richard Grote. Anyway, the 2002.
Wait, hold on. The 2002 was that the Jay Williams draft?
No.
So that was the year probably after the Jay Williams draft.
Probably.
Because Jay Williams went second. He was Duke. So who went third the year after him? Was on that Duke team? Was that the Brand was around that time? I'm trying to think who was on one of those teams.
So you go back and make sure that I got the right one.
No, I'm sure you did. I'm blanking.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to cheat.
His dad was an NBA coach.
Coach. This is going to be so obvious, and I'm not going to get it.
I looked at the list by accident and then saw the name.
Who is it?
I'm going to say it.
Say it, Jeremy.
I don't know.
Dunleavy. Mike Dunleavy.
Oh, fucking Dunleavy was the third pick in the draft. God damn it.
There she was. And then there are 7 players. I've done this with the last 2 picks. 7 players since 1980 to make the finals with the team that drafted them. 7 players that didn't have to win. They just made the finals with the team that drafted them.
Okay.
So Jeremy, if you want to go first this time.
Tatum is one.
Tatum's one, as well as
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, but Tatum's teammate, Jaylen Brown. That's 3 right there.
Okay. Since when?
Since 1980.
But the teams that draft.
Does Kevin McHale count?
Kevin McHale counts. Kevin McHale counts
because that pick wasn't originally, or maybe I'm mistaken. I'm thinking of the Joe Barry Carroll trade.
No, he was drafted by Boston.
He was drafted by Boston.
Yeah.
Okay.
They traded for the pick before they traded from 1 down to 3.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. They traded 1 for Parrish and then got 3 back and took McHale. That genius Red Auerbach.
I mean, one of the greatest trades of all time.
Yeah. So Kevin McHale is another. So that's 4 that have been said so far. Michael Jordan, Kevin McHale, Tatum and Brown. There's one recent, very obvious one that ranks very high unless you talk to me.
That ranks very high unless we talk to you.
How many Patreon pods have we been on that I've trashed a human being? Probably James Harden. Yes.
I so frequently forget that he was ever on that basketball team. That draft.
Yeah. Made the finals with as a 6th man, James Harden.
Yes, he did. So what do we got? 2 left?
2 left.
80.
One, it hurts Knicks fans because the team he made the finals with beat the Knicks in the finals.
Otis Thorpe.
No,
Otis Thorpe wasn't the 3rd pick in the draft.
Sean Elliott was, though. With the Spurs in 1999. Yeah. And the other one I don't think you guys will get. It's an 80s guy.
An 80s guy? Well, there weren't that many teams so it had to be someone on the...
Made it with Houston. 3rd pick in 1983.
No, he wasn't with them. The third pick in 1983. Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
Not saying anything.
The third pick in 1983 made the finals with Houston when they went to the finals in 1994 and 1995.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy, do you have an answer?
I know it's not Ralph Sampson.
Ralph Simpson? What
No.
was it? Hold on. One more question. Was it like a relevant player on that team?
He was a starter.
This is going to be so easy and obvious, and I'm going to blow it.
I know Greg Anthony was not taken that high.
No.
Well, Greg Anthony was on the Knicks.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Who am I thinking of?
So the starters. So Kenny
Not
Smith
Greg
was on that team. Kenny
That's
Smith was drafted by the Kings. Sam Cassell obviously was much later. Robert Horry was much later. I don't even think Robert Horry was. Oh no, was he drafted by the Rockets?
He was the guy we're talking about was off the Rockets by 1988.
Wait, so then
he
hold
wasn't
on.
there for 94. 95.
Oh, I thought you said was he there for 85, 86? My bad.
No.
Juggling
For
places.
94.
Wasn't on the Knicks in 94.
I'm trying to think of the 94, 95.
It's Rodney McRae.
teams.
It's Rodney McRae.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed that.
I said it's an 80s guy. He was
Now I
drafted in
don't feel
1983. Yeah, Rodney McRae. So yeah,
Hey.
little history about the the third pick in the draft. We're not doing the fourth pick until next week, guys.
Now you're making me look up where. Wow, boy, was I off. Otis Thorpe. Not only was he not drafted by the Rockets, he was drafted 9th overall. Bad job by me.
That's in 6 weeks. Don't worry. You'll have plenty of time to take Otis Thorpe. So for those who are here for the first time and don't know how the draft order is determined, we use the convoluted process of a deck of cards and doing high card draw. I have one in front of me. These two trust that I'm going to play the game fair. And those of you watching on YouTube, you see, because we go in age order. So Jeremy first. Okay, youngest to oldest. That Jeremy's card is a. Okay.
Can't see the card. I can't see the card.
Line. Oh, it's a Joker. So that's out. Apologies, everybody. I'll do the card again.
This is the most consequential one of these things.
So that's actually a question I should ask at the beginning. Is this if you get the first pick, you win draft?
It's tense. Look at the LeBron Cavs.
I was literally about to say it is. If you fuck this up, it's not nothing's automatic, but like bad job by you.
Potentially, could you pass on a certain obvious pick like the Blazers did because of the depth at said position?
You could do that.
Are you doing?
I'm just asking a question.
Are you avoiding best player available because
I'm just asking a
you needed
question?
a center?
I look back at our first pick draft and it's like, of course I got to take Kareem too.
You know,
realizing if I take Magic too, I probably still get a Hall of Fame center. I'm not taking John Wall with my last pick.
No, you're right.
No,
you're right, Andrew. We have De'Aaron Fox. We don't need to draft.
There you go. See, now you're with me. All right. So Jeremy, your card is a 5.
Yes. Don't like that.
No, don't like that. Okay. Shuffle again.
Now this is you, right?
This is me. My pick is, it would be hilarious. This scenario where I said, should I pass on Michael Jordan? All right. My card is a 10. All right. So I'm at least a 2 pick.
Okay. I don't love that, but
so John, I'm going to shuffle again. One more time. And John, your card is a 3.
Oh, fuck you. Oh, fuck everyone.
I get to go first. Jeremy gets to go second. This is why you don't tank, folks, because the lottery is random and you never know if you'll end up with the number 1 pick. You could be tanking all year for Zion and you end up with RJ Barrett, but we love RJ Barrett, so we're okay with that.
How long have we been doing this podcast? I've been tanking the whole time.
Yeah.
This is what I get.
Just to get to it.
Yeah.
Just to get here. And I get this.
Okay. So with the number, let me update the Google Doc. By the way, John, if you want to look at, I have 2 Google Docs out there. One with the full list of players taken with the 3rd pick, and then one with our regular Google Doc that has the list of picks taken. All right.
I don't trust any of your docs. I'm keeping my own.
I will be updating both throughout. So if you want to see who drafts who, regardless, the order as just determined is me, and then Jeremy, and then Jonathan Macri.
Fuck.
Are you guys ready to get this going?
Oh yeah.
So
sure.
I think it's obvious who the first 2 picks are going to be. I think so. I'm going to discuss the strategy in my head that I was hinting at before. Michael Jordan was obviously taken third overall in 1984. Wilt Chamberlain was also taken fourth overall. And my thought, because center isn't as deep, is that maybe you take the center now. There are a lot of guards at the third pick overall. A trend in NBA drafts is that the two centers go, or the big men go first, and then you start to look at the wing around the third pick. I'm not going to make the same mistake that the GM that Jeremy mentioned earlier, that I totally knew before this that he made in 1984. And with the first pick, I will be taking Michael Jordan.
Thought you're going Dick Groat.
You know what? I have more picks available. Yeah. One thing, I don't think we have to, and we're too late now, but I thought about asking you guys if you want to add an extra bench spot.
No, we're good.
I think the third pick's like the deepest one so far.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be fun as
it's deep enough for Dick Groat.
It's
it's like throwing a hot dog down a hallway.
I am 10 years old, everybody. Jeremy, your pick, sir.
Oh,
this is so tough.
This is really tough. John, you may want to close your eyes, shut your ears off as best you can, because this player, he's apparently the next Michael Jordan. It's according to
You're not doing this. You're not doing this. No way. He's not doing
what? I'm not doing what?
Okay, I'll wait. I'll let him say words.
What do you mean?
Hold on. Go ahead.
Do what you're gonna do.
I can do it. Why not? Why shouldn't I?
Hold on. Yeah, okay, go ahead, Jeremy, if you want to do it.
No, I don't think I will.
I think we talked him out of it, unfortunately, John. Jeremy,
that was some big Chris Evans at the end of Endgame energy right there.
Don't
think I will. Yeah. Okay. So the first pick was Michael Jordan, and the second pick is.
See, this is a tough one, because part of me knows that there are great players who have been further along in their careers, and then another one is that I know Luka Doncic exists, but I'm not going to do that because, well, similar to what Andrew was saying, the challenges involved. And I know I'm picking fifth, and I'll get someone good. So, man, I'm going to go with it. I've been dragging this out long enough. My grandmother saw him play in high school. I'm going with Wilt Chamberlain.
Okay.
Jesus
that
Christ.
Was the pick, Jeremy.
That was so painful.
I was
why it was?
You didn't
why it was? Because that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
I was looking over the list again. I was like, oh, wait a second. Their reaction is telling me I should glance at this list. Let me stall.
My thought was MJ or Wilt, because then I get a great center, and it's like the third or fourth or fifth or whoever puts him in the top five.
Yeah, no, I know. And
then there's all these other guards on the board. So
but see, I learned from my mistake
landed the
last
plane.
time,
Don't worry.
Which was taking the wrong player without looking at the list more comprehensively.
There you go.
So Wilt Chamberlain.
So Michael Jordan's off the board. Wilt Chamberlain.
Good job by you guys taking two of the
obvious two.
6 greatest players to ever play the game.
There you go. Don't worry, RG's available.
That's great. There are, I just want to be transparent. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 players I think have a legitimate argument to be picked in this spot. Maybe you could stretch it to 8. I have, maybe you could stretch it to 9. I have it though as like it's a pretty wide pool. I think there's a lot of guys who are obviously very deserving to have their names read. The first pick is going to be the one that just screams to me. If I did not take this guy, I think I would be. Well, now I'm wondering. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to pull a Jeremy. I'm done telling the kids to get off my lawn. My two picks are Luka Doncic and Joel Embiid.
Wow.
I am taking the two guys who, out of everybody that is available, with one exception, who I think I could get on the way back around, I'm taking the two guys who I think at their ceiling that they have already shown are the best two talents left on the board. And I trust that the voters will not penalize me because they have played a combined, how many years of NBA basketball? 10, 9, 8, whatever. Not a high number. But I think those, oh boy, I think those are the picks here. And I'm bypassing a few options, but I think I have a chance to get at least one of them on the way back.
So I'll just be totally honest with you. If I had gotten the third pick, there was thought to this exact combo. So I actually agree with the logic there. These are two current perennial MVP candidates, perennial, if Nikola Jokic didn't exist, first team All NBA candidates, and wouldn't shock me if in the next 3 or 4 years we see these two play in the finals. So no, I actually don't think this was as like I commend the pick is what I'm saying. It's not as brazen or brave as I think you made it out to be.
Well, I don't want to say too much more because I don't want to give away too much, but like it was painful to bypass certain names that I just bypassed. That's all I'll say.
Jeremy, you're up. You have one pick.
So this is a challenge for me because I think there are two players in particular that are really quality. One who is better, or at least has more accolades, so to speak. Mm-hmm. The other who does not. But, and there's always a but, position-wise, it's a little tricky. So here's where I'm going to go. I'm going to pass on the MVP and go with, because the people decide.
Oh, I hate this.
Carmelo Anthony.
No!
I hate.
I knew Andrew would have two picks, and he would take one with one of them. So
Jeremy, I sat here and started praying.
Yeah,
Dad, it stopped working. Oh my God.
Yep.
So I hate that
Old Testament bitches.
I hate that the person who almost passed on Wilt. I wanted you to take the guy that you were going to take, and I hate that because I wanted you to pay for your sins. No. But I love the fact that now you put Andrew in.
I have to do it.
The most untenable position.
It's not easy. I do not envy him at all.
I bought a Melo jersey today. I'm not even.
Did you really?
Well, you can
I bought a Melo jersey today. No, I'll buy it and wear it. You know, he's not on my. God damn it, Jeremy.
Oh,
can I trade the?
Just talking about
you can trade me Michael Jordan.
Oh,
now you're cursing Lord in vain.
Yeah,
not bad.
Don't worry, Dad stopped watching. Fuck. All right.
I think you got other. I mean,
they're good names on the board.
Here's the tough part. Even if you could talk yourself into two other picks besides the guy that, I mean, we could just say it because we don't know what we're talking about. Besides James Harden, who's your least, I think you're your least favorite player in the league.
He's my Russ.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you could talk yourself into two other guys besides him as being reasonable choices, you then know that you would be giving Jeremy the guy that he was hemming and hawing about between him and Anthony. So it's like, do you want to give him that satisfaction?
There are other really good players on the board.
There are other really.
I'm not do whatever you want. I'd be fine.
I'm not as like Melo was the player I wanted.
I know,
not like the positional, like whether it's a smart picker. It was literally like if I have one, I'll be honest, John. If I had gotten 3, Melo is going to be one of the picks. I don't think that's unreasonable. I would have gotten. It would have been my first if I had gotten 3, which is why when that 10 popped up, it was like, all right, time to pray. And here we go. All right, we got to move the draft along. James Harden is my first pick, the MVP of the 2018 season, and then in the playoffs, like a bum, he forgot how to make 3-pointers because in the playoffs you don't get foul calls, and then as a result, you can't try to trick the refs like you do in the regular season. James Harden on my team. Congratulations. Oh yeah. And then he forced his way to Brooklyn and made them trade everything. And then for some reason he wasn't reading his group texts with Kyrie. And then he realized it during the season. Wait, this guy's not playing, and forced his way out of the situation he forced his way into. And now he's in Philadelphia, the most loser city in the world. Okay. James Harden, ladies and gentlemen.
That's a good job.
Okay. I don't want my mood to be that annoying the rest of the draft, so I'm going to try and cheer up.
Take somebody you like. There's
multiple options.
So
here.
deep.
I'm done at guard, which is the funny part because I was thinking of passing on guard to go to the other depth plays. So there's two I'm looking at. I don't trust you two. I think you two would put me in a situation where I would be fucked at center if I don't take a center now.
I have no idea which way you're going, by the way.
Yeah, me neither.
I am looking at one center that is not, he honestly, it's an early pick. It's literally because I will look back and be like, oh, fuck, I have to take somebody not that good with,
so you're taking
at a center.
Ennis Cantor?
I took John Wall.
I was about to say, it's Ennis Cantor time,
Jeremy,
baby.
I took John Wall in the first pick draft. I don't want to get stuck in that situation again. And there are not a lot of centers.
Unless the name coming out of your mouth right now is I should just stop talking.
Just let him do it. Let him do his thing.
I have no idea what that's even.
Take your player. Take your pick. Make your pick.
I don't think you guys will let him get back to me. I'll take Pau Gasol.
Wow.
Okay.
I'll go analytics here. He is third overall in win shares for the third pick. He made the finals twice. He was a perennial all-star. You know, John, when you did your
Kobe made the finals twice.
He was the 75th.
If you ask
player.
a lot of Lakers fans and basketball historians, the most important player on the Lakers in 2010 for the finals was Pau Gasol and should have won the finals.
But you
MVP.
have to get to the finals in order for him to bloom.
No, I'm not saying. I said he's a clear number 2 on the team.
Listen,
of centers, he's the third best center in this draft, and
I would push back on that. Number one, without saying anything. Okay, I'm going to push back on that. Number one. Number two, I do want to give you credit because, as you know, I did my top 75 list, and I think Powell was either 74 or 75. He was one of my. Yes. Yeah, he was at the very end. It was like a group of 10 players, and I was hemming and hawing, and I ultimately went with him because I'm like, if you look at every other multi-time champion in the NBA in NBA history, and you look at who the clear second best player was on that team, meaning there's a gap between Pau Gasol and whoever you consider the third best player on those two Lakers championship teams. Like those players are considered amongst the 75, like the greatest players of all time. And Pau didn't make that list. Not an egregious error because he didn't have some other accolades and like his story isn't like the neatest one, but like this is a dude that made all NBA in freaking Chicago, which people like don't even think about. Like he's really good. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that means it's back to Jeremy.
Yep. So I'm going to go with kills me because you know how much I hate them. Boston Celtics.
Oh, you're going, this is nothing.
I'm going to go with Jason Tatum.
Wow.
Yep. This is an age pick.
This is an age pick. This is also, what do you mean, Jesus Christ? Like I think he's
really good.
Fantastic player.
He's really
two-time All NBA already. Clearly was an instrumental part in his rookie year, in the bubble, going to the finals this year. Obviously, he still has work to do. But I mean, for me, this is also partially upside. I know that that's not necessarily the focus of it, but I'm in a really good spot. I've got a great front court. So I can I can play around with this. So I'm going to go with Jason Tatum.
This is great.
There's 10 because this draft so far through 8 picks, which I guess you want because it's entertaining, you know?
It's amazing because the guy that I was starting to say, my first pick is going to be with my heart, because in my mind and in my heart, my gut, whatever part of the body you want to say, he is among the 5 to 10 most underrated players in NBA history. He had the misfortune of playing in an era where it was really freaking tough to advance in the Eastern Conference playoffs, especially if you were not a member of either the Pistons or the Celtics and later the Bulls. But Dominique Wilkins was a fucking badass. and he averaged how many points for his career? A shade under 25 points for his career. Third pick out of Georgia, actually drafted by Utah. Not many people know that. And then immediately traded to Atlanta. This dude was aside from being obviously a Hall of Famer, he was 75th anniversary guy, 7-time All NBA. And he is one of the few players in the 80s not named Michael Jordan to win a scoring title. He was the truth. And I still remember the brief rumors that the Knicks were going to get him. And I want to say that was in 93, 92 or 93. Maybe it was 94. It was somewhere in that range. And I was so excited. And then, of course, it didn't happen. Dominique Wilkins is my first pick here. And it's a pretty easy one.
That's why I said it was the age thing. I thought Jeremy was going Dominique. Then when you said Celtics, I thought you were going a different Celtic.
And that's who I'm taking right now. Okay. And now I'm taking Kevin McHale. So Kevin McHale,
I was going to go with McHale next. So good call.
I mean, you just, Andrew, you just talked about Pau Gasol being second best player on 2 title teams. Kevin McHale, I think, gets the nod over Robert Parrish. And he was the second best player on 3 title teams. And then they made it to, how many finals did they make? 5, 6?
The Celtics?
Yeah, in the 80s.
80,
5,
81,
right?
80, 81, 80, 83, 84, 86. Yeah, they made 5.
Yeah. So, significant figure. I was not watching basketball when he was still playing. But from everything you read and all the highlight tapes and stuff you watch, he's one of the, 2 or 3 most difficult low post players to guard in the history of the league. So, yeah, I'm going double forward here. Dominique Wilkins and Kevin McHale.
Jeremy, you're up.
I'm a little surprised this player is still on the board, quite honestly. But he's not anymore. Who? Well, I was accused of being too juvenile with my Jason Tatum pick, which is fair. So I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Go with old school Pistol Pete.
Oh, fuck. I was counting on him making it back.
Well, he's gone.
There was no way he was getting past me.
Nope.
Yeah, much.
So, Pistol Pete, I remember a story where I think he would be dribbling outside of his car like as he'd be driving or going to school or something, or he'd have to he dribbled everywhere. He was a wizard with the ball. Incredible. Gone too soon, obviously. 4-time All NBA, 5-time All Star, made the 75th anniversary team, Hall of Famer. Like he slots right in since I need guards. And I got to tell you, my team's looking good. It's looking real good.
Can I just say, like, Pistol Pete, as I was doing the research for the top 75 list, I would say he was unequivocally in the top 5 of players where the resume does not say top 75 at all. It does not say, like, there are, I don't know how many guys, but there were a lot of he should not have made the list if it was just based on the resume. But Pistol Pete is one of those guys that, again, we never saw him play live. There's only tapes that exist, but like anyone who ever saw that dude was like, oh yeah, there's nobody who ever did on a basketball court what this guy did. So I respect the hell out of the pick. I thought he'd fall back to me. I really did.
Afraid not.
Yeah. Sorry, John. Okay. So I have 2 picks. To recap the draft so far. Wow, Jeremy, very Celtic-y. Although you got Wilt, so you're fine.
A Sixer.
I have Pau Gasol, Michael Jordan, and James Harden. Jeremy has Wilt Chamberlain, Carmelo Anthony, and Jason Tatum and Pistol Pete Maravich. John has Joel Embiid, Dominique Wilkins, Kevin McHale, and Luka Doncic. With my first pick, damn, I was really I was hoping Pistol Pete would get back to me too.
You were banking on Pete. That's fine.
There's some injury plays to make here.
You mean like what ifs?
Yeah, that's the thing.
I mean, Pistol Pete's arguably the greatest what if in NBA history,
right,
but
there's one right below him that, as far as like the numbers say, that you want to give his career to. In fact, there's 2 now that I'm looking at it.
There's one that's standing out to me as I'm looking at the list. But 2, you're right. There's 2. There's 2
that now that I'm staring at it. The problem is I also would have to not honor the exercise for position because I've already taken 2 guards. And like I'd be locking myself out of any guards the rest of the draft if I took them. Yeah, screw it. I will take. So Grant Hill is going to be one of my forwards.
That makes sense.
And then I'm lucky enough that I just got into basketball to see him play and know that if anybody was watching basketball in the mid 90s, the Penny Hardaway movement, I'll go Penny Hardaway and Grant Hill. That's a great double pick. Yeah. And I'll put Penny Hardaway on my bench because he's a guard.
The issue with Penny, obviously, is his career was essentially 4 seasons.
Yeah. I'm going peak here. I also 4 seasons he made all
NBA first team, I believe, one of those years, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
The do-over with his career is specifically Orlando front office based. Like if they just keep Shaq, what does Penny's career look like? Well, yeah, but the injury part of it is real. But like, does the injury happen because they're not now Penny go play 40 minutes a game? Are they more yin and yanging at that point? They were an unstoppable force in the mid 90s. Trust me, I remember watching Penny, and I distinctly remember the notion that like after the Warriors gave up 3 future first round picks to swap Penny for Chris Webber. Midway through that first season, it was like, holy shit, they gave up all these picks to get the worst guy of the two. Yeah. I think history swung the other way on the Webber Penny thing, but still, it was, you said it, that was a movement. Jeremy, you are up. Grant Hill, another injury guy the Michael Jordan comps in the 90s, John. Oh, but give Hill all the credit in the world. He, by sheer force of will, still like had a legitimate second act to his career where he was, you could say he was the second most important player on that conference finals team in Phoenix. Derrick Rosey, or very Derrick Rose, except more, I think, further in the playoffs and the Grant Hill peak was longer. It was never as high before the injuries showed up as Derrick Rose's was. Ooh. Derrick Rose won the MVP in a year that LeBron existed. That's my point, Rose won that MVP. I don't think anyone thinks Derrick Rose. We don't have to go off on a tangent, but I don't think anyone thinks Derrick Rose is like the best player in the sport. There was definitely a 1 to 2 year stretch where it was like Penny Hardaway is unquestionably the best young player in the sport. And then it's just a question of like, is he already a top 5 player in the league? And then, started to go downhill. But I'm saying downhill. Interesting. Grant Hill, though, I think his prime was like from when he got drafted to whenever that ankle injury in the playoffs where he was limping off the court was, which is funny because that injury happened in a contract year. So he was going into free agency meetings in crutches. Like I watched a documentary on him a few years ago, and he still got a max. He still got a max contract from Orlando, and he barely played for Orlando. Orlando's got like a sneaky, incompetent history. Let Shaq go. The Tim Duncan thing, where Tim Duncan wanted to go to Orlando and was like, I'd like to hire some people. Like I'd like to have in my contract that these other people get brought along, and Orlando's like, no. And he's like, all right, I'll go back to San Antonio. How they botched the Dwight era, although they did make the finals with Dwight. A lot of what ifs there. A lot of what ifs. All right, Jeremy, now your pick.
So this is going to be similar to the Melo versus James Harden conundrum I had, where I'm actually going to probably pick the slightly worse player, but I think it's because of the durability over time. So I'm going to go with Bradley Beal for this one. Interesting. But there was another player who, I don't have to say his name, but in my opinion, he had a remarkable peak earlier in his career, and then the drop off was significant. And I just would rather go with someone who's been, around that, but like the similar accolades, but longer durability over time. And to me, that's you're talking about now, Jeremy. Wow. Yeah. You're not wrong either. No, I'm not. And also I know I have a lot of Celtics on my team, but I couldn't, even though this player is not a Celtic, I could not in good conscience take him. So
no, now I know what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Bradley Beal, potential future worst contract in the NBA. One might argue
that no trade clause is just crazy, but good for him.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So you may sense a trend. Started with honoring the kids. Second group of guys.
Jeez.
Bringing it back to the 80s. And now we are going full on fuck them kids. My two picks, and I understand.
Come on down.
My two picks, and I understand I have neither of these is a guard, and I still need a starting guard. I don't care. And you wouldn't take either of these guys. I don't care either. They are the players that deserve to be drafted now, which is why I am picking them. Paul Arizin, one of the 75 greatest players of all time.
Retired before JFK, while JFK was still alive.
Listen, man, do you need me to read Paul Arizin's stats? I can do it.
Do you need you to read them?
10-time NBA All-Star. Was the best player on a championship team. How many of those guys are out there? Not many. Finished second in MVP one year, finished third in MVP another year, finished fifth another year. I understand it was the 50s. It's Paul Arizin. I mean, he's one of those guys. I know he's not like, doesn't have the same stature as like, I'm trying to think of oh my God, Bob Pettit, but he's close. He's not that far away. So Paul Arizin, and then the other guy who I'm really excited to take, just so I have an excuse to say his name and maybe get some people listening to this podcast to Google him and look up his stats, is Nate Thurmond.
I was going to say, you go Nate Thurmond here.
And that's why
Dick Groat.
That's why when you were like, oh, I need a center, like Nate Thurmond, again, 75th anniversary team inclusion, because I forget where I read it, but I apologize. I'm not giving credit. If someone listening to this wants to remind me who said this. Like, he was better than Bill Russell on offense, and he was better than Wilt Chamberlain on defense. And the combination of like the two-way play just made him a devastating force in the league for a very long time. Made the All-Star team 7 times. He averaged 15 and 15 on the dot for his career. And it was a long career. He played almost 1,000 NBA games. Again, and like the last thing I'll say about Nate Thurmond, go look at the other centers in the league during like the time where he was making all defense teams and where he was making all-star teams and where he was getting MVP votes. Like, there's a reason why he doesn't have any all NBAs on his resume. And that's because it was, some of the greatest players of all time. Like Kareem was in the league when Nate Thurmond was there. He was playing during the greatest era of centers ever. And his accolades suffered because of that, but great player nonetheless. So yeah, Paul Arizin, Nate Thurmond.
Very John couple picks right there.
Got to stay true to myself.
I'm proud of you. There was no way, especially now that I'm seeing the comments in the reaction to our second pick draft, when you said, you should win, Andrew, and you have all the guys that are from the 50s and 60s and 70s. And the response is literally like, I have 7% of the vote currently.
I saw that. There
was no chance I was going with.
But to be fair, John should have won that. That was a very excellent draft by John.
Oh,
the second one. The first one was all me. And the people believe that too.
Mm-hmm. I actually thought you would get more of the vote because Bill Russell's on your team and he's obviously on the consciousness of everybody. But listen, let's not influence the vote. I drafted Pau Gasol because I believe in him, not because I think more people voting will have seen him play.
So
Jeremy, you're up.
Nate Thurmond would put Pau Gasol in the basket.
Right now?
Well, thought about right now.
Yeah. I think if you dropped Pau Gasol into the 1950s, they would have no idea what to do with him.
Pau Gasol had a lot of 1950s to his game, actually.
And there's no like alien nature to him. You're right. My point is like, okay, put Luka in the 1950s. We would legitimately wonder if aliens had arrived.
So what are we gonna, it's like we're so how much are we gonna downplay, the accomplishments of these guys? I mean, I understand a lot of our listeners like don't really care about these dudes, but like, again, they had a lot of really qualified people making that NBA 75 list. It's not a perfect list. And the fact that both of these guys were on it, I think says something. and there are a lot of great players who were not. So it should carry some weight. I'm
going to say two things and quote two people that I respect their opinions for. As far as the quality of the 1950s and 60s, shout out to Ray Marcano, who was a guest on our pod to talk about Bill Russell. And he brings up how more athletic it is, which is why I did the deep dive on YouTube, which probably doesn't give me even a hint of the appreciation for those players that I should have. It is not as bad as some make it out to be. I will also quote JJ Redick, another person I respect, that there were some plumbers and janitors in the 50s and 60s. And Don Nelson shooting free throws from his knees, yet starting game 7 of the NBA Finals and playing almost the entire game for the Celtics.
Look, yes, I agree. But we also have to consider that a balanced diet in 1957 was what? Like a stick of butter,
pack of Marlboros,
5 cigarettes.
That's my point. We're healthier. The athletes are better now.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if you put LeBron in the 50s and the $1 million he puts on his body just doesn't exist? So LeBron is just
we can play this
just
out.
Pete Maravich. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeremy, you're up.
I guess I have to take him now because he's still here, even though I sort of threw him under the bus in a comparison conversation. But I'll take Darren Williams.
Yeah. Williams.
He was my guy.
He wasn't ended up on my team.
No, that's fair. But he's, again, he was really good in Utah. He was incredible. And then he had one good season with Brooklyn, or kind of
a couple. The last one where they made the playoffs as the 3 seed and lost to the Bulls.
Yeah,
4 seed and lost to the Bulls. I was I thought Darren Williams was still good.
Yeah. I came a point where he just became a very good individual player. And I never really felt that he would be more than that. And he kind of wasn't. And then he had a ridiculously steep drop off.
The drop off was so sudden, and he became maybe the worst contract in the league. It felt like almost overnight.
Yeah.
But all you need to know about Darren Williams was there was a stretch of, I don't know, maybe a year where there was a legitimate who's better, Duran or Chris Paul conversation. And that was a real thing. So
what book did I read? I'm trying to think what book it was about not the summer of 2010, but my justification always for why the Melo trade was wanted to happen if the Knicks wanted to get Melo was because Brooklyn wanted Melo also. Denver said they were going to trade him. Yeah. And Brooklyn made an offer. And then when it wasn't accepted, the next day they made the same offer to Utah for Darren Williams. That 24-hour period where Melo and then Darren Williams got traded.
Yep.
So the trade package that everybody is the Knicks gave up too much. The exact same trade package that are similar in levels of trade package got Darren Williams, who was an all-star at the time. I was about to say Evan Turner. Dirk Favors didn't turn out to be, what a lot of people thought he was going to be. But at the time, he was a big time prospect. That trade's so much more different if they take Boogie. If it's DeMarcus Cousins going back and they're just playing similar to Shade, those who don't know, the Nets went 12-70 and got the 3 pick or the 3 pick and took Derek Favors 3, and then DeMarcus Cousins went 4th. So
no, Cousins went 5th.
Oh, so 4th. So even better, 2 teams missed on him. The point being that New Jersey at the time tanked, and this isn't a thing on tanking. It's just they lost as many games as possible, didn't get the 1 pick, which was John Wall, and then at 3 could have taken DeMarcus Cousins, which makes that trade look even worse if they trade DeMarcus Cousins and Devin Harris to Utah. Although I don't think DeMarcus Cousins would have loved Utah.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody should be crying home that they didn't get DeMarcus Cousins.
We'll talk in 2 weeks.
You're up two.
I have 2 picks. Oh, I was stalling so well.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna let you keep doing it.
So I have 2 picks remaining. I have a non-guard. Oh, so I can either take 2 centers or 2 forwards. I can either take a center and a forward or 2 forwards. There, math. The forwards. It's another reason why I wanted Melo, because the forward position is not the center position. It's not as deep, but it's also not. It's not great either.
Make a deal.
What do you want? What do you want for Melo?
I'll give you Melo if you give me Michael Jordan.
No.
Okay.
Great.
I'll be honest with you. I took a meeting, but I eventually slept on it. So this is a joke from Patreon where we're doing the trade value. And John's like, which team takes the meeting and which team hangs up immediately? And that's how you know where a player should rank. And I took a meeting, but it's because what Melo means to me, not because he's better than Michael Jordan, obviously.
You didn't take a meeting. You're taking a beating because.
Yeah, well done, Jeremy.
I will just say that, like, I can't draft the forward, so I'm just going to shout him out.
Mm-hmm.
Like Buck Williams,
looking right at him. Yeah. I just don't know if enough people have seen Buck Williams.
So he played too long to the point where his last 2 years were with the Knicks, and he was a bit player on those teams. Although I will always love him because he came to a Knicks camp that I attended. But like the last 2 years of his career, he averaged like 6 and 5 points a game and like was not a meaningful player. For the first decade of Buck Williams' career, he was 15 and 11.
That's what I know Buck Williams as, though, is the back end. So I'm trying to honor the exercise in players I've seen. The homework that comes in and knowing that he is probably going to be my next pick is what I'm hoping people do when they hear like 3-time All-Star. You mentioned like a solid 18 and 12 for the first. I mean, I could just do the ranking here.
No, and like even sorry, I don't cut you, but like
first 7 years of his career, he would average 16 and 12.
He was on some not great Nets teams, but like those Nets teams made the playoffs. They only won one playoff round in that time, but like. This is a dude who, he had playoff series where he averaged 20 and 10. And then he went to Portland when Portland was good. And in those, like the 90 playoffs, 91 playoffs, 92 playoffs, I think he even stuck around through like the 93, 94. Like he was still a double dude in years where they were appearing in like the finals. And like, man, Buck Williams was like, he was really, I know he's not the sexiest pick here, but that dude's, he's good.
Thank you for talking up my next pick, John. I'll take Buck Williams with my next pick in the draft.
I just can't have Jeremy win another draft.
So you're helping my team?
Collusion.
It's like literally the worst thing you could possibly do. Okay.
Charles Smith is available.
Yeah, I know. Every now and then you gotta go to your constituents and ask, what do you want? And poll the people and ask what they want to see happen. And since I appreciate the listeners of this podcast so much.
Oh, he's going to do it.
And because I believe in the future of our young stud out of Canada, my final pick with my second bench selection,
pandering,
Mr. Rowan Alexander. You say Rowan? Excuse me.
Rowan.
You don't deserve him.
Alexander
Barrett Jr.
Yes. RJ Barrett.
I hope this wins you the draft. I genuinely mean that. Jeremy, we don't have to say anything else about RJ Barrett.
Other than why do you hate him? And that he was the third pick out of Duke, but the number one recruit going to Duke until people, saw Zion Williamson play. Averaged 20 points a game last year. Hit a clutch shot against the Celtics to turn their season around. Should have made first or second team all rookie, despite the haters out there that think he shouldn't have. Maybe some of them have been friends of the pod in the past. RJ Barrett, ladies and gentlemen, future Hall of Famer. Listen, you took 2 future Hall of Famers that are young, Luka Doncic and Joel Embiid. I took RJ Barrett. I took Jason Tatum. I took RJ Barrett. You know what? I'm returning my Melo jersey and getting an RJ Barrett jersey.
How much hate mail would I get if I'm like, I hope RJ Barrett contributes as meaningfully to winning basketball games over the course of his career as Buck Williams did?
You'd get a lot of hate mail.
Okay, so I won't say that out loud.
Don't say it. Don't say it out loud.
Jeremy, you go.
Cheer me up.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one. I'm going to take former and future Brooklyn Net Jaylen Brown.
Thank God.
If I was taking seriously, that was going to be the guy I took.
Yeah, no, I mean,
really?
Yes.
He's also.
I gotta tell you,
he's had a better career thus far than RJ Barrett. Why do I hate RJ Barrett? I don't. I love RJ Barrett, but thus far he's had a better career. He had a better finals than RJ Barrett has had. Not that RJ Barrett will have, but has had.
I'm not going to win this draft, and that's fine.
But who are you looking at that we're like
totally cool with
passing on?
I think I did the best. Chauncey Billups.
Oh, Finals MVP.
Yeah.
Finals MVP.
It's an age thing, though.
Fell further. No, admittedly, he fell further. If I didn't need a point guard, I probably would have gone that way.
I also can't take a guard. That's the other part.
Well, I was hoping he would fall, but just again, real quick. 3-time All-NBA in addition to the 5 All-Star teams, played a really long time. And like, I know you don't get too much credit for being a compiler, but still threw up 5,000 assists in his career, 15,000 points. Not too many guys that have 15,000 points and 5,000 assists. To get him with the last pick in this draft. Best player on the finals team. Again, I like my team. I know I'm not going to win, but I like my team.
No, I don't. I said it at the top. This is the most talent I think we've had so far.
The fact that Chauncey Billups went last.
I couldn't take a guard.
I know.
My guards are Michael Jordan, James Harden, and Penny Hardaway.
Yeah, Darren Williams.
So. Yeah.
Could we just?
I will say Chauncey Billups over Darren Williams. I would have done, but I'm not. I don't know if it's so egregious that John, you needed a guard. I actually think you played the draft right and waited on guard. When I was doing my research and writing a cheat sheet out, it's why I said there's so many players as we go through honorable mentions that weren't taken. Maybe we should add an extra spot, but like Jerry Stackhouse, not taken. Baron Davis, not taken. Like, these are guys I have moments with. Sharif Abdul-Rahim, excuse me.
Raheem.
Like Christian Laettner, if you're counting in college.
We're not.
Bill Cartwright, not taken.
Marquise Johnson. Marquise Johnson's a guy, again, a lot of our younger listeners will not know. He finished 6th in MVP in the 1981 season. He was five-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA. Like, this is a guy who was not going to get drafted. Probably even if we did an additional round. And I won't read the names of people who were dead before Chris Persiano was born, but like a lot of older players here.
Yeah, you'll read the ones that were dead before JFK was dead.
Terrible.
I mean, listen, I have LaMelo on my cheat sheet.
Paul played during the Eisenhower administration.
Yes,
that's
he did.
Kind of a long time ago.
I have LaMelo on my cheat sheet, by the way.
I think LaMelo's legit. Yeah. I think Sean Elliott. Mm-hmm. Did someone say Al Horford? Because if not,
he was my 5th center listed, which is why I was like, I'm not getting stuck with Al Horford. If you guys go on a run of centers, I'm screwed. So that's why I took Gasol.
But like it really does show. And Jeremy, you threw this chart in a PowerPoint at some point within the last couple of years, showing the value for every draft pick. And then I distinctly remember, because then obviously the first pick is the highest value. And then there's a little bit of a dip for 2, and then it goes up for 3. So historically, the 3rd pick is the second most valuable pick in NBA history to have.
Yeah.
There you go.
This was good.
RJ Barrett.
He's going to make it even better. He's going to make it stronger. He's going to make me eat my Buck Williams comment.
That you didn't make.
That you didn't make. Yeah. That is stricken from the record, even though this is a podcast. Let's read our teams. John.
My starting 5 is at guards, Luka Doncic and Chauncey Billups. At center, Joel Embiid. At forwards, Dominique Wilkins and Kevin McHale. And as backups, love the old timers, Paul Arizin and Nate Thurman. Giddy up.
Jeremy.
My team. Starting at the guard spots, Pistol Pete Maravich and Bradley Beal. The forward selections are Carmelo Anthony and Jason Tatum. At center, Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. And then rounding out my bench, Darren Williams and Jaylen Brown.
My team at guard at 6'6" from North Carolina.
That was good.
Michael Jordan. Some bum named James Harden. At forward, Grant Hill and Buck Williams. At center, Pau Gasol. And my 2 bench spots are Anthony Penny Hardaway, and RJ Maple Mamba Barrett.
Man, I don't know. We joked about it before the pod. I think you might be pulling
You pulled a LeBron. This is the aughts Cavaliers.
I don't think it's as bad as you think it is. I just think
maybe
if Melo gets back to me, then I would feel more confident with my team.
If you got Michael fucking Jordan on your team, maybe you know what we should do? We should pause the polling, let the polling go take a trip to Miami for 4 years, and then come back and then finish the poll at that time, and then you'll win it.
Michael Jordan's actually going to come to my team. After that happens.
LeBron's
Because he's going to see how
leave
good my team is.
Okay.
He wants to play. He doesn't want to beat him.
I don't know the other direction you guys think I should have been going. I got.
No, you went the right way. It's a challenge.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
The team building aspect of this. I know how you guys are. I know how strategic Jeremy can be. If I go Jason Tatum over Pau Gasol there, I would end up taking Al Horford as my starting center with my last pick. That was the direction this is going.
I think that would have been fine.
Yeah.
Right.
We just
I wanted
different
a better
approaches
center
too. Okay, but you spent time before this pouring through stats, right? Yeah. Seeing the better players. Yeah. I logged on and I made these great selections. It's just like a fantasy football draft where you just like pick randomly and it's like, oh, cool.
That's why you almost passed on Wilt Chamberlain, Jeremy.
Almost.
Almost. Exactly.
Well,
I'm saying I took Pau Gasol, which if anybody wants to do their homework, has the 4th most win shares among players taken with the 3rd pick overall. Shout out to John and Oz for their influence of analytics in my life. Are you against analytics now, John? Because he's also analytics? 5th in value over replacement player.
I love Pau Gasol.
It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like you think LeBron would leave him to go to Miami.
Okay. Shout out to both of you. This was a great draft. We are going to go now. I will say this. For a real good time, tune in again next week for the 4th pick draft, where there is not only no obvious first pick, but man, that one's going to get interesting because it is a motley crew of folk that are available in the 4th pick historically throughout NBA history. As always, we appreciate you and you're spending your time with us over the course of the summer as we do these. Don't forget to vote. Your vote counts in the Twitter poll that Andrew will put up on, when do you put it up? Tuesday?
On Twitter.
On Tuesday, though, I usually put it up. Right?
Either Tuesday or Wednesday. I put it up Wednesday. Thursday for this week. Just this week got a little busy, but
a little bit.
Yeah.
So vote and vote for me. And that is all. Thank you again. Have a great rest of your week.